Well, we are getting ready to work on these header beams. These are some, this is a 5x5 by 3/8, and the two on the left over there, you might be able to see in the background, are 5x7 by 3/8. So this one was a 20-footer. We needed an extra 3 inches on this side and a 2 1/4 inch on the other side, which I'm getting ready to weld in. These are notched. I'll show you where that's going in a minute. And remember this little notch right here. We're going to wash this out where we'll have a piece of I-beam going in between there. So we just have it sitting on one of the work tables. And we got the same thing. We got multiple tacks on here. And we got it beveled on the back side. Just beveled on one side because this is not going to be as structural as this will be. So the two little notches that are lined out and not cut yet are going to be grooving into the vertical I-beam that the gantry's on. And so that'll just shoehorn in there. And then we're going to overlap on the 6-inch. And I'll show you that a little later. We're going to make some tracks right there. And we're going to make our we're going to make our bay doors. Bay doors are going to be made out of this 1.5-inch square tubing we have here. And A, because it's too expensive to spend $6,000 for heavy duty roll doors. And B, I love the fact that this is all open where we don't have a narrow 12-foot door. This bay is 21 feet wide. That bay 2 is 22 feet wide, and the third bay, you can kind of see through the little door there, which we don't have a roof on yet, is 18 feet wide, and we're of course 40 deep. So anyway, we need a header, and we're going to be making hangar style doors, kind of like a bifold closet door, but we're going to be vertical. So these beams are going to hang up here right in front of the bar joist and give us an anchor point for hinges to hang down. And we'll have one panel, some hinges, and a second panel. I don't have no clue what I'm doing with this. We're kind of winging it. So there's a good chance that we'll have some different evolutions. But this one is the most tricky beam because of the gantry brackets, and the gantry beams are all flush. And I don't want to recess anything into them and cut any off and lose any strength. So we're going to basically, where this magnet is, we're going to take some of that 1.5-inch square tubing, and we're going to make a center rail, which will give us 2 1/4 on each side for the wheel to roll onto. Over here, we're going to offset it a little bit to dead center, so we'll have 3 inches of track there. But on the second bay, you can see, I don't know if you can see too good right here with the sun, but there's nothing there because we don't have any gantry stuff, and we'll be below the bar joist. So these two are going to be easy, A, because they're identical sizes, and B, because there's no stuff in the way. So we're starting with the complicated one, and again, we're going to pick it up and see if we can slide it in. I'm not too sure how that's going to go. We got issues with that, but anyway, let's get into it. So we moved all these beams in here. I got these tacked up. We're going to weld them up, and then we're going to cut our notches here a little bit oversized, where we'll have enough where we can bevel it and fill it in once it's up there, you know, on the gantry. So anyhow, we're going to take the overhead gantry, we're going to flip this over because I have my beveled side on the back because I want a good smooth side here. We'll make a little light pass here, but we'll have a couple of passes on the back side. And again, this is not going to be terribly structural because this is tying into the 6x6, and then literally like 10 inches over, we're going to be tying into the gantry beam, and you know, that deep into the notch. And the reason we're going that deep is we're going to have an 1.5 inch standoff because we're on outside the beam, like I mentioned. You'll see as we go, if I'm not explaining it too good, it's because I'm not understanding it too good myself. Again, we're just winging it, and we'll have to see what we got. But we got this 20 footer, these two 20 footers here, and again, we'll have to cut pieces off of this extra beam right here so that we can add on and get our width. But we're going to worry about that a little later, and we're also going to tie these in a few places. So that's the plan, Stan. Let's get at it. guys, that's another morning starting up. As y'all saw from the time-lapse footage yesterday, we had a colossal crap storm trying to get our forklift off-road, which this thing does not like off-road at all. And we ended up trying to make some ramps with this 1/8 sheet metal after the boards failed. And you can see we actually rolled up a section of metal. So there's between these little anti-lean bars down here on the bottom and whatever else is going on here, every time we try and move this thing off-road and have to use some kind of bridging, it never works out. This thing weighs like over 6,000 pounds, and most of the weight is on the drive wheel back here. You got the two little front wheels here, but you know, it just does not like off-road. So in order to work from under here, we got to get I was kind of hoping we could do it off the basket like this, but that's too low. We got this headache rack in the way, and there's an option of cutting the headache rack off and putting it back later. Don't know if I want to go down that road just yet, but it is certainly in the realm of possibility. But we're going to examine some ways to make a lifting platform that'll tie in and incorporate on here, that'll get me to the height we need, where we can turn this machine 180 degrees and get it up here and get it stabbed in. So that's today's project, and we'll see what kind of joy and fun we get into with that. Well, there's our convertible chop top. Doesn't really look much different as the mast of the forklift right here, but let me put the little safety arm down. You can see we cut it right here. Now it held the window right here, and I had two issues with the window. A lot of the shop, like it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun is back here in the west and not coming in over the trees here. So in the morning, half the shop is bright with the sun and half of it's in the shade. Well, if you're in this machine and there's glasses right here, you get a whole lot of glare, and you really need to be able to see this little aluminum piece right here shows you the orientation of your wheel. And with that headache rack, we use this for a lot of things in the shop, like working on the gantry beam, putting up lights and wiring, and so we've gotten issues where the headache rack has, you kind of get up in there and tuck yourself in between the bar joists or something, because you're trying to get as high up as you can to work on something. The problem is there's 3 feet difference from here to where the headache rack is, and so the headache rack is going to hit first. So then it puts you into this homemade man basket thing. You got to get in on this ladder to get your height, and I don't like that, because that's if you're in this basket, you really can't fall out, but on that ladder it's a whole nother deal. And I did all the lights and all the gantry stuff and some of the roof stuff with that, as we've done, you know, things around the shop. And you got to really remember to look up and not entangle your headache rack in any of the stuff up there. But I'll show you, like right here. Let me get in here. All right, so you've got this, you know, these control cables and stuff here, but really when you're moving this machine, you got a hand on the steering wheel and a hand on the switches. So you really don't have a need to get your fingers in that. And then once you get up to this height, there's nothing to get your fingers in. So a lot of times we'll get up to about this height where we can see our steering indicator, and you can see it moving down there as I turn the steering wheel. So that way you almost need to be at this height to drive it. When things are real tight, you can see where your wheel is pointing and whatnot. Now we're almost up. We're about 2/3 of the way up. Let's go on up. So if we were going to be working, let's say right here on this outlet, okay, I'm standing in the basket right here. I can't reach it. I still got another foot to go, and the headache rack would be almost hitting the angle iron. So now with the convertible, we can get all the way right here. Now that's the sheet metal roof right there. My head is literally 3 or 4 inches away, and I'm in the basket. I'm not on the little ladder. I think this is going to end up being a safer way for us to use this. I like this idea better. So also what's going to happen in the immediate project is when we go to pick these beams up, once we get them cut and shaped, which I'm going to work on these two, that one is ready to go up there, and these two are going to go up there and up there. I hope I'm not getting y'all drunk spinning around. So with this height, we'll be able to take our beam, lay it across here, and then bring it up and keep this machine on the slab. We'll have the tires chocked where they can't roll off the slab, and that'll put the majority of the basket out over the rocks. So we'll be able to pick our beams up, slide them into our brackets that we're making, and weld everything in. And again, even welding the gantry, you know, not being able to be in this basket and not on this little ladder to get up another 1.5 feet to reach what you have, that's putting your working height right here at chest high instead of your working height 1.5 feet higher than that, which is actually 1/2 foot over your head. So I think in the long run, that'll be a better way to go. And of course we got, you know, some safety chains here, so when the basket's on, you're not getting out of it. And you know, when this is down, you're completely surrounded, so it's safe. But when you get on the ladder, the higher you get, the bigger the chest. So anyway, as y'all can see from the inadequate lighting in the morning, we got our morning sun. It's Saturday, so it's not an early start, but we're gonna pick up where we left off. So before y'all went to bed for 2 seconds and we went to bed for 8 hours or whatever, we had cut this. I made a 20-foot cut. Now it did, you can see, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, but it did bow a little bit. So we left it face down with the jack stands at the ends, let its natural weight pull it in. And I think once we take it and stab it in there, that'll work to our benefit. We'll get it stabbed, we'll put a ratchet strap and pull it in, square it up, and then once we weld it in, it ought to be good. I'm gonna do a little grinding on the bottom of this, truing it up a little bit, cleaning it up. And anyway, before I got started with all that noise, I wanted to get, you know, just kind of do a little quick update. I want to ask everybody to do us a favor. And, you know, when we're doing videos like this, we're trying to show all aspects. It's kind of like nobody really wants to watch grinding and all that kind of stuff, but it is part of the process. So we throw a little bit of it in there, usually on time lapse or something. But what we consider to be mundane, repetitive, and boring, whatever, if you guys need information on it, hit us up in the comments and we'll do our best to answer your questions, because we know everybody's got, you know, different skill levels, and what somebody may not want to watch because they know it, somebody may need to watch because they're trying to get to know it. So y'all make sure and hit us up in the comments if there's some specific thing that we do that you want a little bit more information on, and we'll do our best to get it out there for you. And, you know, we're always trying to help, you know, get information and kind of pay forward to the people that helped us get us where we are. And so anyway, in the effort to pay it forward, hit us up in the comments and let us know what we're doing right, wrong. You know, if you need more information on a specific thing, let us know. So, and with that regard, I'm gonna flip this over, get a little grinding done. I don't think I'm gonna film it. Again, it's kind of like woodwork. You know, when you're doing woodwork, you know, if you're cutting, you're gonna be sanding, and not really the funnest thing to watch. So sometimes we're gonna jump around and omit what we think may be boring, but hit us up, man. We're always doing a lot of the same stuff. So, you know, we can always throw in a video that, you know, will get you a little more information on something if we can help you out. All right, let me get started on this and we'll see what we can do about getting this baby up in the roof. we're going to show you the final. I'm calling these beams, but angle irons. But anyway, we added. This is a 20-footer. We needed 23 5.5 to get to up there. So, and then what I did is I notched. So this notch to the corresponding notch on the other side is 23 5.5. I'm leaving this open, which will be where the we'll run a square tubing down vertically off of this, and that'll be a gap for the wheels. You'll see that. And so this one is a little less busy than the other two. We had, well, the first one we had a bunch of the gantry stuff to get around. This one, I don't think we got a heck of a lot of footage. This happened over a few days time. So basically, but this one is just notched on each end. And I'm gonna leave, this is 5 by 7. So we're gonna leave the high side, give us some more backbone, and we're gonna pick this up and put it up there. Let me show you guys, let me get in here and I'm gonna show you. What I'm doing is I just took some 2x3 angle iron and welded it up there. And what this 2x3 angle just does is create a little shelf so we can pick up our big angle iron. All right. So we just did a little 2x3 shelf. We got a little overhang because we got stick out, and then just the way, you know, for the notch that we made. And we're just taking this little angle iron and I'm leaving it flat on the top. I'm welding it 3 sides on the bottom. And then once we get the beam up here and sit it in here, then this gets welded to the beam, welded to the column, and you know, like completely 360. And then if we need to, we can also do some tie-ins from the beam to the bar joist if needed. We did that on the first one too. We had a little bow in it. This one looks pretty good. This one, the second beam we put up is actually put up and clamped and ready to be welded. So what I'm gonna do is I'm getting ready to fire up the welder, and we're gonna burn this in. Then we'll pick up our beam way down there, put it on our basket, bring it up, slide it in till the notches bottom out, tie it off with a safety strap, come over here and clamp it, and then once that's all clamped in, this one and that one over there will be ready to be welded in. So we're gonna get those burned in today, and that's gonna define the top, bottom, and sides of our opening so that we can get our hard measurements for the door. And then I think once we get these beams burned in, we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna take some of our 1.5-inch square tubing way over there, and we're gonna bring them in here. We're gonna start making verticals, because we're gonna have a square tubing on each column that will make our tracks. We'll have one over here too, and one over here for our rollers. May have to trim a little sheet metal or something. We'll see how that fits in when we get it over here. we got these things all buffed out. Had a few little spots where we got to buff old welds for the clamps. And so if you have any bows on here, try and get them, you know, outside, and that way you can squeeze them in with a ratchet strap. I find that to be the easiest way, instead of trying to figure out how to spread them. These are pretty straight, so it shouldn't be a problem. I got them spaced roughly apart. We're gonna remeasure the width, get it pretty close. We'll clamp on the first one. Once we got it clamped on, that'll kind of help us true that up, and we'll make a little jiggle and shift, and then we'll measure, you know, our X's and get it as square as we can. First thing I want to do though is go ahead and turn the laser on, and then get my, let me switch hands here. All right, so if you can see, I don't know if you can see this one. This one needs to come up just a smidge. Don't have enough hands here. All right, so you see that's 5 3/8. You can see the little green line. I'm pointing with my finger and putting the camera off screen. That's some filmmaking for your ass. All right, so 5 3/8. I'm hoping y'all can see that. So I'm just going down and checking different spots. And then getting my big ass out the way of the laser. All right. So that's got that neat. That's a little off. Let me see if I can adjust that. Okay, I know y'all probably in the sun, and that's not the best way to be right now, but all right, everything here is 5 3/8. I'm gonna check at the end too. Yep. Okay, you get a much better reading back here in the shade than in the sun. Sorry y'all getting jostled around here. Working with one hand today. All right, so everything is level. Because we got these things pretty well trued up and we had them clamped and we welded them, you know, flat is pretty flat. It may be a little off, but once you start clamping things in place, it'll true this up. And so we're gonna move up to the front. I'm gonna put you on a tripod, and we're just gonna start doing like we did the other day, tacking and moving back and building this thing up. Alright guys, I'm going to show y'all how this clamp is, and this is may not be maybe an easier way out there, I don't know. Alright, so we got our two little roller supports there to get us kind of close to height. We got our center mark, so we're doing them every 4 feet for a total of 7. We're going to take our angle clamp, and again, with the awkwardness and heaviness of this thing, I'm finding it easier to use some F clamps for help. So basically I'm going to get this thing pretty well spotted and centered. Put a little light clamp on it here. Oh damn it. Alright, let me get this adjusted. Alright, so we're gonna alright, damn it, get on there. Quit messing with me. Alright, so we're going to leave it kind of loose. I'm going to cinch this one up, and that way we got a little adjustment in and out. We're going to bring this in. You can't really see from your angle, but it's gonna squeeze this side in here, and we are a little high on our roller. Alright, so when we're checking to make sure that these are holding everything flush, and it's kind of misleading with some of these square tubings. They're kind of changing direction on us in a sense. All right, I got to loosen this up just a little bit and bring this closer in. Alright, I'll tell you what, this thing wants to stay with a gap, so let me go on the other side. Let's go over there and get that side going. Now what you may have to do, this side is staying tight, so we may have a little swag or a little bow, and once we get these lined up, we may have to put a ratchet strap on them and get them kind of, get the two long verticals squeezed in. All right, let's get this up in here. All right, that one's on. All right, so I'm gonna leave this a little loose. We're gonna tap him over. Loosen this a little more. Alright, that's pretty much centered. Alright, that's close enough for government work. And this one's touching. Well, this is what we came up with so far. So this is our first panel, just leaning up against our yellow trolley hoist, and it's kind of, you kind of start to get the idea of how these doors are going to open, which seems to be freaking out most people. They can't seem to wrap their mind around a hangar style door. But you know, we'll have a roller on this rolling up the column, and again, when the door breaks over, This top section is hinged, and then the bottom section comes in. As you lift this up, it forms a triangle out here. So we're gonna we got this one welded up. I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna lift it up here, and I have a few little braces to do up there, but for right now that's lifted and welded and straight. And I have another two here. We're gonna double check level this morning and kind of get them plumb and shifted. And man, that morning sun is getting us this morning. So we kind of got it all set up here. I checked it for laser level, but we're gonna laser it again today to make sure. And then we got our pile of ribs. We gotta kind of buff the ends, get the paint off, and do a little beveling, and come over here and do a little beveling. And we're not really beveling. I'm leaving these ends square, but we'll, like over here where we have a little extension, we'll knock the weld off and smooth it, kind of get down there and do a few other things, and then we'll put this one together. And once we get these together on, we did get some wheels in, or rollers rather. So this is going to be our roller situation. This is a roller setup that goes underneath a bumper on small bumper pull trailer RVs, so that the bumpers don't dig if you go through a rough spot or whatever. We're going to end up with them somewhat like this, and then they'll roll in the tracks. Something like this. So that's how the plan is going to go.
don't know if y'all can make it out, but there's a little gap right here, and instead of trying to fill it all, we're gonna we'll put a ratchet strap right here, put a little bind on it, and that'll bring it in good. Loosen this one and leave this tight. That's going to hold my clamp in place. I'm going to loosen the clamp. So we've loosened this squeeze and we'll bring it in. Simple as that. Tighten them up. Tighten them up here. Ready to be welded. See if we can get these verticals welded. I'm going to be in y'all's way right here, but just the way it is. Alrighty. Alright, y'all get the point. So we're going to do all of these same way. Clamp them, line them up, weld them, move on to the end. So I'm going to come back when we go to flip this over. Well, there is what I'm showing y'all as far as our track. Going all the way up to the angle beam that way. So we're leaving our space for our roller to roll in here. The framework is going to be flush with this, and then this sheet metal will be flush with that too. We got it pulled out so we could weld on it. So we are basically going to be, where is my math? I've been mathing all over the table here and kind of laying it out. So this will show you So we're gonna have a 24, a 24, a 24, and a 24, because these are gonna be hinged, so there's gonna be two separate sections. We're gonna be 159 and a quarter tall, leaving gaps for the hinges, which are here, and our roller situation. So, yeah, that's another thing I need to measure, was for this. So anyway, we got to confirm our verticals, but we know our horizontals. So I need I need four of these. So I need 3 7-foot 10-inch pieces. They 7-foot 10-ish. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld the 3 long ones together, and then we'll cut some little add-ons and weld those on. Then we'll double check all of our spacing, because I need to, where's my soapstone? Man, oh, here it is. So I need to account for wheels on this. I had to figure out my wheels, because we're coming down. Our total height is going to be from the bottom of that big angle to the top of the nut on the foot plate here. So the wheel is going to end up being right there. So that's going to, whatever the height of the wheel is going to shorten us up a little bit more. So I'm going to have to recalculate this number here for our total height, which will give me what our verticals are going to be. So this is kind of an example of how the door is going to be. This is the header. So we're going to put this hinge opening this way, and it's going to be like this, and then this hinge will open that way. That's why they were sitting in the middle. This thing, being that this is just it's a heavy angle, it's not quite 1/2 inch, it's like 3/8, but we're gonna, before we hang anything, we're gonna gusset vertically to the bar joist, and possibly because we're so far below this bar joist, I may come in with some pipe off the beams to give it some deflection protection that way. These right here are going to get that from being integrated into the bar joist. I don't know if y'all can see the little angle irons we have and little angle iron X's we have up there. That's tying all these bar joists together all the way across the roof. So some kickers this way and some kickers this way will deal with deflection and load, and we should be in good shape. All right, let's get it. We got our cutting station here set up, and we got our grinding station set up right here for the vertical ribs on our doors. And then we have our welding station up in here. So what we're doing is just taking this long piece right here, is 3 segments of 7 foot 10 inches, and we got a little 3-inch addition we got to put on here. So we're just taking these and we'll put them over here. I got one of my work tables set up right here for a flush surface. Alright, we're gonna slide this back. And we're going to measure it. I don't remember which one of these little chuchuts is supposed to go on there, but we're going to grind it and put it like that. And then all of those will be the right length. Alright guys, what we got here, we got these things set up side by side on jack stands. We laser leveled it, and we kind of got the center clamped. We had a couple of little bows and whatnot. I don't know if it was from the heat from welding or from what these were used for before, but we're basically going to take and use the button on the hinge for lining it up in the crack. And again, we got them squeezed because when the door is completely closed, we want this gap to be tight. That way we don't get a lot of slack, and hopefully it'll keep the noise down. We're getting kind of wide right here in the bay, and we don't have a lot of 220 extension cord right now because we hadn't run all of our overhead 220s yet. But we came up with this idea. We keep extra hose on the argon bottle, and we used to not have this cart. Now we do, and we're rolling the cart around. But now we're kind of coming up with a way to bring the welder with us to the end, so we can go right down this center right here from one end to the other and weld all these hinges. And once we have these hinges on, we'll be able to fold this side down. This right side is going to be the top. We'll fold it over, and then on this side we're going to go back down here and weld the rollers and bigger hinges on that side, and then we'll pick it up as a folded unit and bring it over here to spot it in the bay. And again, I got to get up here and do some gusseting, so we're just trying to get the door made and put in position for right now. So
All right, guys, took Saturday off, get some grass cut and a few other things. Sunday morning, we in the shop by ourselves trying to pick up where we left off. So we got all these hinges welded, and this is the side that's going to open and close. We put our 5-inch hinges every so often, got those burned in and on both sides. Only thing else I have to do, let me grab this wheel. We got our little wheels right here. Before this goes up, we're gonna mount these. Comme ça. Leave just a little, we'll probably have this a little proud on the bolt head, but we don't want the bolt head to rub too much. So that's what we're gonna do. We talked about this header bar here, which is 5x7 angle iron, and I think we're gonna be, once we get our finish welding done on each end, which I'm gonna do this morning with some low-high 7018s, make sure it's tied in real good. And again, with the door hanging from this, I don't know, you know, the bird mouth goes out and then it comes back. So of course the bottom side is gonna be pushing toward us the way we're looking at it here, and the other side is gonna be pulling. So I don't know how much deflection we're gonna get, but if you follow my finger, and I'll show you in the ceiling, we got 2-inch angle iron throughout the entire board joist system, tying everything together so that nothing could rack. So I think what we're gonna do is, in that system, we're gonna come down with a vertical. I got 3 spots where I can do this. Come down with a vertical and a 5-foot kicker, and that should triangulate and give us a little bit more vertical lift, not lift, but hold, so it doesn't want to bow, although I don't think we got enough weight divided up by the 7 hinges we're hanging this on. I don't think we're gonna bow it down. We're 5 foot on the flat and 7 inches, 5 foot, 5 inches by 7 inches, so that's pretty stout. Let's go up and I'll show y'all what I'm talking about a little closer. Angle irons that go all the way to the other side, and we're going to tie them in similarly to that. So that 5x7 header for the front door will be tied in, and the stress can be translated all the way back here. So I think we're going to be fine. We're going to do a little bit more low highs here, and what I'm thinking is you know, a little off angle vertical here and a kicker there, and that should take care of this beam. And then when we come with the door, the hinges we have hanging will clamp right up here and weld to the outside, and we're in business. Alright guys, so we got this thing laid out and rigged up. I had to put some shims underneath the hinges for the thickness thing up there at the top. I'll tell you about later, but anyway, that's all we're trying to do. All that does, if you remember when we put these up, there's a little angle, a little 2x3 angle iron that we welded on each end so that the big gray beam could slide in and stay put while we got it welded. And that thing is 3/16 of an inch thick, and it's gonna bump on the ends. So we took the 5 hinges in the center. I'm gonna just leave this one alone,
and it'll bump on that. But then we needed that same thickness here. That way, the goal here, what we're trying to do is winch this up, and then it'll start to unfold, and this end will sit on the ground. This will just stretch up, and then we're gonna let it, let me get the angle up here. We're gonna let it bump into the bottom of that. That way we can line it up flush and clamp it. So that's the goal. It's gonna be slow going a little bit at a time, so I'm gonna set y'all up where y'all can watch and put y'all on time lapse. Well guys, we got it up, and as usual, got in a hurry, and we were fooling with something in bay 3 over there, and came over here and winched it the rest of the way up. But it all unfolded and laid into the building. I didn't show y'all, I don't know if you can see it, but I got a snatch block coming to a bridle going to the winch strut, and then it bridles back over here to another snatch block, and we just went under the ropes, under the upper 1.5 inch tubing, and on the outside up and tied off to the bar joist. So that rope would just roll and suck it up to there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get in our little man basket and flush this up and clamp it where we can get our hinges. Let me show you over here. So I think you can see the red, this hinge right here will work. That one needs to be nudged out just a little bit, and then we got a little dip in here from the rope pulling it, and then it swags out again over there. So the two ends are good. We need to bring the middle out flush, and then the hinges will flip up and weld on. Well, we're gonna get some stuff done before the rain coming midday. I just counted our little stash of square tubings here to double check, make sure we got enough on hand for the project. I think we're gonna be good. And as it comes to the old door, worked till almost dark last night and got the damn thing clamped up with about every 6-inch or bigger clamp that I had. So on the little, I don't know where we left off last night. So let me come through the wall right here. We got to put that sheet up too. So our wheels are sitting good, and we've got a little more gap than I wanted. I should have 1/4 inch on both sides. So if you follow that up and see, we've got a good little gap here, and if we walk over to this side, we've got decent gap by the wheel, but we're bumping right here in the middle and bumping right there at the top a little bit. I don't really think that'll mess with the opening because those two spots will be out, but with the idea of being, as perfectionist as we can, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up and loosen these clamps a little bit, and I still have the winch truck with the rope holding, and because this middle hinge is hinged on the back, it can't fold down toward us, and we keep these clamped in. But we're gonna basically put a clamp like this one down low, and like maybe 1/4 the way up and 1/4 the way up the middle section. Try and pull this just a smidge that way, and if we accomplish that, we're gonna clamp everything back in, and then I have just enough room for our little man basket set up here to stick out through each window, I believe. Certainly the middle ones, and I think we got it on the end. But anyhow, but the plan is, once it's all clamped in, to go up and pull the basket gently through the hole where we can get to our upper flap of the 5-inch hinges up there. And what we'll do is just fold it down, grind the galvanize off, fold it back up and weld it in. Well, let me catch you guys up. So the last time, I think, because it's been a day or so, we left, we had unclamped this whole door, and we had a shift where this wheel went about a 1/2 inch out of the track, and the far lower panel had come in a little bit. Now the upper panel has pretty much stayed true to the tracks we welded on the side, and so we figured we just needed to move the we got wood ducks out here this morning. All right, we figured we just needed to move the bottom panel, and we started looking at cutting welds, and is it heat, is it warpage, what's going on, why did it move, and how much unscrewing of the situation that we needed to do. So after kicking the ideas around for 2 days, I said, you know, we just need to tweak this bottom over. So I took a chain from that 45 right here all the way over, and you can see the cable that replaced the chain. But my tentative solution to test it was to put a chain on there with a chain binder, screw binder, and just torque it in, and it pulled this wheel in and got us back where we want to be. So with the chain test passing, I went and I had some cable, and we put the cable in place, and it's holding. So crisis averted there. We do have the one hinge that we cut off to weld back, and then we're back in business. Now I don't know, the easy way to do these doors probably would be to get a little Harbor Freight winch, which one of the guys on Marketplace that I'd gotten some parts from invited me to look at his doors, and he built just about the same size doors as these, and that's what he did. He put a Harbor Freight winch up here, made a little bridle so it attaches to the bottom in 3 spots to give a more even pull because of the length of 24 feet, and that works like a dream. All right, let's get y'all caught up here. We kind of had a lot of activity over here. I didn't get a chance to film. We got our little catch pocket right there that catches our wheel so it doesn't want to swing away. We may have to make some other adjustments on that, but we got it tacked in. We're going to try the door a little bit. We came in, we got these little 3/8 D-rings, and I'm putting some cables on them, and we got them, this is a 24-foot section, so we got them at 6, 12, and 6, so that'll equate it. If you look, I don't know if it's showing camera, but the forklift has it kind of bowed, so we want the winch to be able to pick it up here. So again, we just burn these in. I'm putting these eyes on them. I got some cable going right here. The snatch block, I measured it here, it's gonna be 3 inches further. So we're gonna make a vertical right here that's gonna be 15 inches tall, plus the 3 inches of the snatch block, so it'll be 18, so it'll be 1.5 feet, which is about the max opening we probably want to go for. And so we'll try that out and see. So I'm gonna put this eye and make all of this up, and we'll make our little bridle. Again, we'll come back to that in a little while. And as far as the winch goes, you can see the mounting brackets on here, some 1 3/4 inch square, and we got 1.5 inch square here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this up to our angle iron, and basically, let's see, it's going to sit kind of like this, off a little bit, off 2 or 3 inches, and hang on this and weld onto the angle iron. So that's our plan for now. Again, all I'm doing is just making up cable as I go. So that's kind of boring. I'm not going to bother y'all with that. And then, like I said, we're going to get that all welded up, hang this winch up, and we're going to double line it. And this is our snatch block. So again, we got about 3 inches here, plus our 15-inch drop will give us to the snatch block about 1.5 feet. And what'll happen is, as this snatch block travels up, if you don't catch it with your remote right here, inching it up, then this catch, the weight will be pushed up by the snatch block and kill it. And that way we keep ourselves from over raising the door. So that's where we're at now. Let me get these cables made. Alright, so we got our bridle. I got a clip in here. I'm gonna do that in just a second, but I can't do that one-handed. We got our winch controller, which is a little short, but we got some wire coming for that. And way up there we got our winch. So let me go before I forget. In the guise of trying to get info, let me go up with y'all. So yeah, we're gonna extend our remote to go down to the side of the door, but I got some wire on order, and it's just gonna be 4 conductor 18 gauge. So this is what we had here. Now don't get crazy on my welds, because this beam is hot dip galvanized, so even though you grind it, it does like it wants. And there's our setup. So let me go get that bridle hooked up for you guys, and we'll give this girl a test flight and see how she's doing. So I'll be right back. All right, now this is a YouTube moment. I don't usually well, some of these YouTubers won't put trial runs on things. I haven't tried this bridle. I'm gonna see if all 3 of these eyes will fit in this hook. That's the bottom. I mean the left side. We'll go in with this middle one, and we'll go in with this. Yep. All right, that's a definite maybe, but it's in the safety catch. So for right now, we're gonna give it a shot. Let me go up in the lift, and we're gonna bump that, see if it tightens up. I gotta come up to where I can reach the damn winch. All right, let's see. All right, well, we got the tension out the bridle. We got plenty of extra slack. We got our weight to go up and trip the auto shut off if we need it. So we're gonna come up slow with it and see what it does. Sorry, I gotta work it from up here, but I ain't waiting on that wire to come. We're gonna work it and see how it does. So once you undo the door, you're gonna give her a little push to let her break out. And we don't want it to pop away from the wall until it gets a load, so we're gonna bump it a couple of times. Let everything kind of settle down. Again, give it a little push. And as this hinge does, we may have to go up a little more with our pockets, but all right, let's see what she does. Cable popping. Better be. Takes it all the way to the stop that we made with our bridle. So I need a tape measure. So that's about high as it's going to go. On that setup. So two things I want to see is I want to get a tape measure, and I want to see, I know y'all can't see this, I'm going to put y'all outside. It's on this little bitty GoPro screen. This doesn't look like it's showing too good, but what I'm trying to do is we've already come up to the stop block on the winch, and this is probably going to be high enough for back here, but anyhow, I wanted to see what we got, and I can see a little bow in the vertical pull and the horizontal pull, so we may have to put a piece of angle and reinforce that a little bit. But anyhow, let me go up there and take some measurements. I'm gonna leave you guys on while I measure, that way you can watch the door go down when we get coming. Let's see if she'll behave going down. Alright guys, so as we saw, we had a little bit of a bow, so we're gonna have to do a little reinforcement on that. I do have a middle angle iron that's gonna go in the middle of each panel, and we'll see if that stiffens it up, and if not, we'll have to do something on the bottom and try and stiffen it up that way. But all things considered, we're doing pretty good. Looks like we need a little grease in the track and all that kind of stuff. One of the bolt heads was hanging up here on the side, a little bit on that side, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. But for a prototype, I don't think that's too bad. Again, what I'm going to do is I have some 4 conductor 18 gauge wire, and we're going to unhook our remote, and we're going to extend it over and down, either to that, probably to that middle column, I guess. And of course we're going to have to have some locking pins, but I think we're doing pretty good for right now. We'll see about reinforcing this, rigging our lock pins and putting our angle iron on, and see how that all does. But that's coming along. So let me get on that, and that'll be tomorrow, which will be supper and a long nap for me, and not too long for you guys. See y'all in the morning. Alright, with all the shadows and stuff, I don't know if this is gonna show, but again, I got a jack stand on each end right here with no support in the middle on the door, so we actually have a little negative bow going away from us in the center. I got all of this bridle unhooked for now, and then I have a 1/4 inch by 3 flat bar clamped in the middle of our little 1.5 inch square tube in here. So plan is, we're going to put this in, we're going to put a couple of triangular gussets we're going to make later, and I've got it clamped this way and this way to pull out that little bow. And then what we'll do is we'll put some welds, we'll stitch it on both sides and come up to here, and then we can undo some of these clamps, move down, and just carry it on. It's going to have to be butt welded right here, so we'll grind a little bevel into that later. And you can see we got a little bit of something going on. So we're going to come all the way to this end and gusset it in and see if that takes our bow out of this, or at least the majority of the bow. I don't need it 100%, but when we get all the way up to full up position, it's got a little bow in it. And so, but we're going to put this on, weld it in place, and then we'll reconfigure our bridle and go from there and see what we can come up with. So let's get into it. Alright guys, let me this is what we came up with. So this is our 3" by 1/4 backbone, and I just did the 6" measurement, pinky to thumb, and alternated the top and bottom welds all the way across. Put some little triangles. I got rid of the whole bridle thing. I picked it up right here with a single strap, and we didn't have any bow, so I think we got our situation rectified. Got a little trimming right here on the end, same thing on the other end. So I think that's going to do it until we get sheet metal on the door. So let me go up, and we took the bridle off and welded a single D-ring, picking up from the middle, and it seems to be liking that. That stiffening up kind of took a little bit out of it, and I still got the cable is misaligned a little bit. And we're going to redo the height. We're going to go up a little more, but I'm going to see if I can't make a space the weight, that the orange weight that's up on the second line of the cable, space it to where we're going, when we get to the max opening, which would be maybe a foot more, it'll be tripping the auto shut off up there, just to make sure to not open it too much. But as you can see on the bottom down there, let me back up a little bit, really not getting any bow to speak of. I thought about coming down with a double bridle, but keep it simple, stupid. So I just said, you know what, that whole 3" is acting like a spreader bar, so we're gonna keep it like that. And then once we get at the end of the day, we got our little remote hanging from a magnet right here, and we just go down with it. I'm gonna go up and the kind of scoot the winch over a little bit to align it with the snatch block down here, but it's working pretty good. I'm gonna try and do this one hand, so when it gets vertical, I want to come over here and put my hand on the door to eliminate it, like that. There we go. And then we'll bump it down a little more, and that's it. So what we're gonna do is I gotta finish welding this upper angle. I don't know if y'all can see the little cutouts. They go on there, so we gotta, that's all ready to go. We gotta shift it to the left 6" and it'll all drop in like this one. And then I've got an extension right there to extend it to the end. Weld that on, and that's it, except for we're gonna have a deadbolt pin. So we're gonna build off of this one with some same square tubing, and maybe double up square tubing, and then make a hole or some kind of attachment point, and that way you pull it in tight and it locks. And other than that, that's going to be it. Now what we're going to do is on the outside of this, we're going to put sheet metal flush right here down, and then maybe 1.5 inches longer on the outside. So might not get to showing you sheet metal right now, just because this video is getting real long as we figured this out. But now that I got this bottom piece, I'm happy. And I think we're probably gonna still put our rubber piece on the bottom, but our sheet metal should come down enough in the little rabbit drop down to keep water, keep splash from coming in. We'll figure that out as we go once we get the sheets on it. But basically it's just gonna be cutting sheets, and we'll screw them there, and there, and see what happens. But and I'm gonna do a video of the front doors. It's gonna be more production, probably a lot of time lapse, just cutting, but this is the prototype we wanted to figure out everything on before we go to the front. So we got it figured out, and now just gonna be moving on to the front and cutting it, measuring and cutting the doors to fit the hole. All right guys, well that's our prototype hangar style door, and we'll be getting to doing the 2 in the front here shortly. But for right now, that's it. If y'all got any questions or comments about hangar doors, hit us up. If you got any pointers about what to do that might have been better or easier for us, man, we'd sure like to know that too. So hit us up in the comments and all the usual stuff. Other than that, I guess that's it for now. So we'll see y'all on the next one.